Hello and welcome to another episode of Geekgo. Thomas the Tank Engine. I loved it as a kid and I still like it now. Maybe it's a nostalgic feeling of watching the show, or maybe it's just a love of model trains and models in general. And I still have that big mammoth book of the railway series back home, the one that costs like 20 quid or something. It's always nice to see those old paintings of all the trains. It's just something great about it. There's a simple sense of just being useful and being nice and kind to people that it teaches to the kids, which I think is a good thing. And as an adult, well, when I have kids one day, I'm definitely going to show them the, older episodes, not the new one. Oof. Now, of course, being such a big franchise all over the world, especially in Japan as well, because they love their trains, there's lots of Thomas-based video games. So today we're going to look at the older Thomas the Tank Engine video games, because let's be honest, all the new ones are pretty much just a mixture of educational and spot that item and color this thing crappy mini games. Which, okay, for a young audience they're fine, but I don't think it really teaches them that much. And even if it doesn't teach them that much, it should be fun, but I don't think young kids would find it too much fun to play those games. Well, let's go through them in the release date order. First is Thomas the Tank Engine on Commodore 64. Okay, first you notice that the graphics aren't that bad for its time, and it's quite humorous having trains bouncing all over the place. Although that music is, god, my ears. It's like I'm giving birth to a fetus baby from my ears. Both of them. Oh god. Thank god you can actually mute it without any consequences, because there are no sound effects in this game. That Thomas the Tank Engine theme, rendered in that way, is the only sound from this game, so let's mute this shit. Well, you've got 7 missions here, so let's go through them in order. Well, as you can see here, you control Thomas, or something similar to Thomas, graphics limitations and stuff, and you just drive him along these tracks, left, right, up and down. It's all like a maze game, and your goal is simple: find the cards you need to bring to the end of the track. There's always only one card in this entire railroad for some reason, and bring it to the train station on the right edge. Occasionally there are points you can pick up that they're just randomly placed and randomly generated, because all the random items change when you leave the screen and come back. And here comes one of the biggest problems. Since all the items are randomly generated, it's not really fair game if you're trying to get a high point. But why would you want to? And another stupid thing is these piles of pieces of shit just keep popping up in front of the track. What the hell? How am I supposed to know? Thomas the Tank Engine goes way too fast, and then suddenly this piece of poop is there. And then the Fat Controller's like, be careful, Thomas. Well, no, it's not Thomas's fault. How about getting your lousy workers to stop leaving pieces of shit all over the place? And no, it doesn't even happen that way around. If you're trying to go back to another screen because something's going to hit you, you go back to the other screen and then there's a piece of shit behind you. So you always move 2 screens back if you get hit. And then Fat Controller's like, be careful, Thomas. But that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is Percy and Diesel. Why do I know it's Percy? Well, he's green and there's a short engine. Why do I know that's Diesel? Because somehow Diesel looks better than anything else in this game. Guess they really like Diesel. And all those 2 engines do is run all over the place and keep bumping into you. It's like they're completely batshit crazy or they're blind. And what's Percy's problem? I can understand Diesel trying to crash into me because he hates steam engines, but Percy's like Thomas's best fucking friend. But why does he keep crashing into him? And much like those pieces of shit on the track, they are randomly generated as well. So, you're like, I gotta dodge that. But no, a train comes along. And I gotta dodge the train. But then you go back to the other screen, there's a piece of shit in the place. It's like, if you're trying to draw through a maze, which is what this game is, and then your friend comes along with some, like a bottle of ink and just squirts all over the page. And now I can't do the map. But then you go backwards and it's like invisible ink, but then the invisible ink comes back and well, anyway, the levels aren't too long and you can complete this entire game if you're older than 5 in like 10-20 minutes. But by the end, even though the tracks are all different, they use the same different screens, just placed in different orders. So for Commodore 64 is interesting, but mute it if you want to give it a go. For hardcore Thomas fans only. Next we have same game, same name, but this time it's released on Microsoft DOS. and a few other systems. So the graphics are a bit better than Commodore 64, but somehow the music got even more annoying. Oh god, it's just painful to listen to. It's like I'm giving birth to twin fetuses out of both of my ears. But I'd rather turn it off, because again, there's not really any sound effects here, apart from a few beeps and bobs. And music just takes over everything. So let's have a look. Oh no, look, there's two games. Well, let's go to the sub-game first, the memory game. Well, it's a memory game, but even if you choose to play as one player, the PC has to come in and be your opponent, and it is quite a stupid AI if you go on easy. While Boko looks okay, Toby looks a bit too happy. Bill and Ben, which is just a flip of each other's pictures, look like they have mental issues. Duck looks really angry, like he's about to kill someone. And so Top Hat also looks quite angry. So there's your nightmare fuel for the week, kids. Well, like I said, since it's pretty much the same game, you have 7 levels again to take 7 trucks to 7 places. Although Thomas looks more and more worried with each mission. It's like he's actually scared of these missions, like, "Hey Thomas, here's a new mission for you. It'll task be a really useful engine and go to hell. We need to deliver those trucks." So you start the mission, and once again the graphics is hugely improved, and Thomas actually has, well, yellow 1 on him, and he actually looks like, well, Thomas. You notice at the bottom of the bar there's a little sun thing going on, and it's a timer. It doesn't tell you how much time you have left exactly, but the sun does set if you don't finish the mission in time. Yeah. Can't they just put a clock there? Cause like, would the kids really know how much time they have? I mean, to be fair, you got a long time to complete the mission, but, you know, stick a clock there. It's clearly no issue to stick numbers in this game because I have all the scores underneath, all the, well, numbers. So, yeah, again, stick a clock there. And this time, not only are you racing against the clock, Harold also drops some item somewhere, and I'm guessing, if I remember correctly, if you beat Harold to the end of the platform, you get something extra. There are all these pickups, kind of like Pac-Man, where you pick them up for extra points, but it's really, forget it, it's not really worth it going to the extra effort to get there. Plus, in order to navigate through this maze of a track, you gotta waste more time to get these things, so it's either get the items to get more points, but then lose time and lose points, or get there first and not pick up any extra points. Choose your poison. Another improvement in this game is that nothing is actually random. Nothing is randomly placed. Although I do question why James doesn't have his tender, or any other tender engines have their tenders. I mean, I think it's due to graphical limitations, but surely they could. I mean, you pull trucks behind, so they're like kind of like tenders, but if you can't animate tenders, I'd rather see a squish James than a James without a tender. They're just probably being lazy about it. Oh, and look at this, instead of like Top and Hat being, you know, like, "Oh, our friend needs to be careful, Thomas, if you like crash or something," here he's like, "Hurry up, Thomas, and I'm looking really angry at you." But hey, look, at least he's more animated than, you know, his version in the TV series. So even though the trains aren't randomly placed, they sort of go on a fixed pattern like a routine, they still act like they're fucking drunk. I mean, they still crash into you with like no question whatsoever, and they still act like they hate you or something. So you navigate through the maze and you have to, well, dodge these trains, and for some reason the first level has the most difficult bit at all. Look at this bit, you have to time your train just right and move it at just the right spot so that nothing hits you. Why is this placed on the first level where all the other levels are really easy? And why am I going so slow? I mean, Thomas moves like a jet engine on the Commodore 64 version, but here he's like a slug. Oh wait, spacebar makes him go really fast. Because I need to read the instructions manual. And oh look, here's something new. Thomas gets to race. If you come along this little pickup, you click it and you race and you win. You get a prize. You race against James, Harold and Bertie. And of course, the race means you just keep tapping the spacebar button, and sometimes it is virtually impossible for even me to win this race, so how's the kid gonna do it? I'm on easy difficulty, so make it easy, come on! It's just an excuse to make your fingers really painful. And finally, when you get to your stop, Thomas gives you this really creepy wink, like, "Hey kids, wink." Ooh. Again, it's more animated than the series form, but that's probably why they didn't animate him for a long time, because Thomas looks creepy when he's moving. And yeah, after you beat all the levels, you get this nice little picture, which is reminiscent of the Railway series art drawings, and instead of the series, even though James looks more like Henry for some reason, and Percy's smoke looks like he's on fire. Huh. Well, all that. Yeah, it's better graphics, there's more trains, and they choose a colourful variety of the engines. So, out of all of them so far, a kid would probably enjoy this just because the novelty of actually driving Thomas and around the tracks. So let's move on to the next game. So the next game was also released on DOS and made by the same people, and it also uses the same game engine and the same graphics. So most people call this Thomas the Tank Engine 2 or Thomas and Friends 2, but its actual name is Thomas the Tank Engine The Big Race. Oh no, not race. I hope it's not just tapping the buttons again. So as you can see from the title screens, there's some sort of story, and then somehow the Fat Controller lets them race, even though it's really dangerous and not good for the people on the railroad and accidents. Wow, Fat Controller is really different in this game. It's like Patrick Stewart in the movies of Star Trek and the series, like two completely different people. And of course you got the Thomas theme again, which I'm really getting bored of by now. But at least it's not painful, and when you play the game you got the option of turning it off with just sound effects again. And what's this? Ad-lib music? Oh, let's have a listen. Oh my god, this is just so much better. It's a huge, huge improvement. Finally. Ugh. So you got one player or two players, pretty self-explanatory. If you play as one player again, the AI has to race against you because it's a race. And not only do you get to race as Thomas, you get to pick the other engines as well. Although I don't recommend Bertie because this track just looks confusing with the roads and stuff. Ugh. And who wants to drive a car anyway? There's hardly a game I can drive a train. I want to play as a train. And for whatever reason, the game producer decided to put everything into the options menu. So if you don't ever go into options, you'll never be able to pick a different track or a different engine, or one or two players, or music or whatever. It's all just in the long list of stuff to do in options. What happened to start game, pick level? Ugh. So yeah, when you actually start the game, the graphics look decent, much like the other DOS games, very similar. And you notice that you're only playing half the screen. Well, that's because you're racing on the same screen, same track. It's sort of like a time watch thing, but you're sort of seeing it through the same time. So it's like a two-double replay thing going on. And just like the other one, there's also trains in the way that will crash into you, but at least this time you don't get pushed back, and you get an instant invulnerability for a few seconds, which is always nice. It's like a lot of other like arcade beat-em-up games, which is good. Thank God I don't have to go back 2 screens. And sometimes you pick up these little red zones, you go in there, pick up the word bonus, and then you get bonus. Not only that, when you finish the bonus section, you get pushed forward a little bit. It's like going down pipes in the Mario game. You come back out in the later part of the stage, which is good. It means you don't have to panic, like choose, like, do I want the bonus or do I want to beat the race? And then there are these bits, like, you're not allowed to go forward because the little barrier is down, or the flag or the light signal is not up. What's the point? You just sit there and wait for 20 seconds and do nothing. It's like someone just takes the controller away from you for 20 minutes. What the hell? Just let me race. I mean, it's not like the barrier slows you down but then opens up for both players at the same time, which would be really unfair, but there would be some kind of point to it. No, both people have the same time watch waiting thing when they hit the barrier. And then, oh, what the hell is this? Out of fuel and I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing? What? Yeah, you gotta stop at water tanks to get water. That little red bar there tells you you have fuel. I guess that's like an intriguing mechanic, but this is Thomas the fucking Tank Engine. I guess in some stories it teaches them to be careful and get fuel, but this is a racing game, so this is a racing game, and this is just one more thing to slow you fucking down. You want to go fast, but no, you gotta stop there and get the fuel, and no, you gotta stop at the barrier, and no, you want to go in there and get the fucking bonus. And you know what? Because I'm pissed off now, I'm gonna go nitpick a little bit more. This is a race, so the track should be all fair game. Why are there other trains running on there? Why is there hay on the tracks? Why are these like broken segments of tracks that will make people crash? Why are there tracks that lead to nowhere? What the hell is this? I know Sodor is like the most dangerous railway line because accidents happen all the time, but come on! And even Bertie's roads are a fucking mess. Why are there giant boulders in the place? It's just so fucking dangerous. This game is... yeah. You know, Thomas 1 and 2 put together, they're okay, but that's all, they're okay. So, you're quite happy to skip them. Well, anyway, there's enough of that. Let's move on to more familiar territory for some of you. Let's go on Thomas the Tank Engine on the Super Nintendo. Well, super right, this must be better. So the game starts and again you hear the Thomas the Tank Engine theme, which I'm getting so sick of right now. But, well, it's a good rendition for Super Nintendo, and it sounds way better than the other versions. This was 1993, so it's 2 years since the Thomas the Tank Engine game, and, well, you think they improve and take lessons from the previous people who made the games. And then what's this? The title screen is like Thomas running towards you. If I had 3D glasses, I'd be like, oh no! And then much like the other ones, you got the difficulty settings. So just for the sake of the video, I'm gonna get really quickly. I'll go on the easy settings because maybe this is like one of those train track games again. And then hey, what the hell is this? Okay, I got this is a mini game collection. Hey, what's wrong with my controllers? Why can't I move? What? Oh, it's one of those games. You gotta wait till the narrator's finished before you move on. And notice he's not really a narrator. He's like those robot voices that just repeat the same words in different order. Sounds really awkward. It sounds okay, a human voice on Super Nintendo, but couldn't get like Ringo Starr or the second narrator to do the voices? Oh look, it's another racing game. I wonder what that could be. It's tapping buttons. And yeah, blowing the whistle doesn't do anything. Well, at least the graphics is decent enough. Let's go on to the next game. Let's go with Thomas. Go where? Oh, it's 2 storybooks from Thomas on the Super Nintendo. And guess what? Whatever you do, don't press that auto button, because once you press that, you can't leave this menu unless you reset the game. You can press any button you want. Nothing will happen. And yeah, listen to that computer animated voice.
That's the breakdown. Train is driver.
Sounds fun, right? Imagine trying to teach your kids English and they end up talking like this. I'm gonna talk like this. Thomas the Tank Engine is so fun. Imagine if they did the rest of the review like this. This game is kinda rubbish. It makes me angry. Fetuses out of my ears. Yeah, it'll piss you off, won't it? I guess the drivers and the fat controller waving their arms like that guy in Team America is kinda funny when you see stories. I don't know why they're doing that, but I laughed about 2 seconds. That's the best thing so far in this shitty game. So next, the sliding puzzle. Wonder what that could be. Yay. I guess if this couldn't get easier, I'd have to show you which, slides they slided. So you just do it in reverse. Next game. Setting the switches. Well, here you just set the switches so Thomas goes in the right direction. Next. The jigsaw puzzle. Well, you got a few pieces of things. The jigsaw. Next. Fixing the tracks, when you first look at it, is kind of the same as setting the switches, even though here it's even more easier because all you have to do is click on something and it'll fix it for you. You don't even get to choose what piece to put there. Next. So yeah, you've also got Race with Bertie, which guess what that's gonna be. And then you have Start Thomas, which is supposedly automatic way of Thomas going through all of those games, so we'll do it like one time each in case you don't want to, click it yourself. And here's another thing. I guess the best game is setting the switches, but if you want to play it again, every time you finish the level, it goes back onto the menu and highlights Thomas. So if you want to play it again, you gotta move up, wait for the stupid voice to finish talking, click play, and then you can play. It's like, what's the point? Let me play the second level until I quit this minigame. I guess they're trying to have like a variety of things for the kids that don't do the same thing over and over again. But just... Alright, next actual game then. Next we have the game with the same name on the Sega Genesis. But before we move on, both these games have the exact same name, and both of them is also supposedly based on Shining Time Station. Even though these games have nothing to do with Shining Time Station at all. In fact, they only put that there so that some American buyer would know what to do with it. So here we have the, oh, surprise, surprise, the theme song again, but it sounds a bit different, sounds Sega-y. And Thomas the Tank Engine fan sounds really happy. And oh no, the buttons have voices. Oh, but thank God, even though the buttons have voices, you don't have to wait for the voices to finish to move your D-pad. Thank Christ. And look at this, the sound effects and music have different volume settings. And you can like remap your keys to different buttons. This is like, oh wow, this is really good. But then this game gets, well, not bad, just kind of weird. You select your picture, which I'm thinking, wait, isn't there something else to do in this game than just paint? They should call this Thomas Tank Engine and Paint, not the Adventure series. So you paint or give up to paint, you just, highlight the colors and select the area and it fills in the gaps for you. I like to see, duck in hell. You just press exit and then the real game starts. That's just bizarre. So according to which picture you pick that engine. Well, I didn't know that. And then you give yourself a name, and then you can see that James doesn't have his number on it. Even the Super Nintendo had numbers on them. Even the DOS 2 game in one game has numbers on them. Also, I know this is nitpicking, but they got the driver's color completely wrong. He's, he looks like a milkman here. It should be blue. Why blue? So you got game, which is guess the main game, explore and race. No. Oh God, no. Well, let's get the race out of the way, and oh look, it's actually kind of surprising. It's kind of like the racing game on the DOS 2 game, but in a sort of horizontal angle, and it's not bad. Nothing slows you down, thank God. There's no pointless things lying around. Just select the right tracks and get the right points, pickups and stuff. Explorers, well, you just kind of explore the tracks. You're not really sure where you're going, but I guess this is kind of the funnest bit. You pick your engine, you drive around the little mini map, and yeah, it's like playing a toy train. And you can bump into trucks, you can decouple them and like organize your own trains and run to station to station. It's kind of cool. And the main game is all the same thing, except here you have specific missions to take and take specific items and specific trucks to specific... Wow, I'm just saying specific so many times, to specific stations, and there you go. So the graphics are quite decent. Thomas has his one, but I don't know why the other engines can't have their numbers, but anyway, it looks pretty nice, and the green is always nice. Although I'm gonna nitpick here, for the most part the portraits look fine, except James here for some reason looked like he just swallowed the lemon. He's like, and of course you have no map whatsoever. You have no instructions in which direction you're supposed to go. So you better remember exactly what station to go to when they first give you the instructions, because you can't see your mission again. And even if you do remember the name of the station, you don't know where it is. It's like, where am I supposed to go? Just get there by luck. Well, this game's not bad. Who knows? Sega and Thomas would mix well together. I guess they both have like blue, Sonic and Thomas. Actually, you have a Sonic and Thomas racing game. Oh God, no. Oh, anyway, one last game to have a look. Thomas the Tank Engine on Game Boy Color. This was only a Japanese release in 2001. Like I say, Japanese people love their trains, and maybe more than English people. And Thomas does really well over there. In fact, there are more cool Thomas toys in Japan right now. Anyway, let's have a look at this game then. Of course, I can't read any dialogue because it's in Japanese. Not even like the big complicated characters are similar to Chinese, because that would be able to understand at least a little bit. But I guess this is for little children, so they only go with the sound words from the Japanese language. Again, the Thomas theme sounds good for Game Boy Color standards. The main game is pretty simple. It's kind of like the Sega perspective, where you just go along the track up, down, left and right. Not much to say here, except you occasionally bump into a little gap and you have to pick the right piece to fix the tracks, and then you carry on. Of course, people and characters talk to you, but again, they can't tell you what they say. But even without knowing what they say, you can still easily drive the train around. And here's the thing, even on Game Boy Thomas has his number. Even on Game Boy he's the right colour. I mean, his face is also blue for some reason, but oh well. And even Henry has a 3, even though it looks like a C. But, they actually tried to put the bits in there. That's way better than, some of the other graphics we've seen so far. Well, back in the main menu, I have no idea what the second one is. I guess the second button's like reset game or load a save file. The third button just takes me to the screen with 4 icons. I'm not sure what it means. It's like, here's some hazard and here's some tracks, I guess. And finally, you have like an unlocked trophy kind of deal. Like, you win some stuff, which is kind of cool, you know? You play this game, you want to unlock things. It makes it more fun and makes it more worthwhile, not just some congratulations screens. So overall, I'd say the best Thomas game is on Sega Genesis, because you actually have fun choosing the engine you want to drive around and play with trucks, in essence. Much like what the trains do to have fun in the TV series. The Game Boy Color version is good for, it's on Game Boy Color, so that's not bad either. The DOS 1 game is playable if you really like Thomas, and the rest of them are just trash and just forget about them. I guess if you have like 2 kids and they want to race Thomas, then Thomas 2 on DOS is okay. Whew, well, that's all the Thomas games I can take for now, and that's all the theme song I can take for now. It's giving me a headache. And ever since these games, I haven't seen any Thomas the Tank Engine game where you actually get to drive an engine around. Your best choice is to get the game called Trains. That's Trains with a Z on the end. And I think the 2009 version is best so far, because that has the most compatible Thomas trains made for it. Even though it's not a kids game, if you like train simulators and you can build your train world and landscape, your kids will have fun, driving the Thomas trains on it. Just beware that when you download all these Thomas trains, it probably end up like 100 something gigs just for one folder of all these so-called dependencies and files to download. Well, anyway, I'm Thomas out and I can't take anymore, so goodbye and see you guys next time.